I was lucky enough to find this wreath at a Goodwill store, and I just need to secure it. So you could buy a wreath that's already made and maybe you wouldn't have to secure it. And you could just take this wire completely around, but I'm going to show you a second option then. For this option, I looked at all my seashells and pulled the ones out that had some holes in them. And then I just wired these shells onto my wreath. You can use some tools also. Then as we wrap this around, we'll keep adding shells that have holes in. Many of these shells I picked up myself, but some of them, like this one, I got in a whole bag at the Dollar Tree for $1. So if you don't have the opportunity to get your own shells, then you can buy a bag. It's very cheap. You might not get all the different shapes, but I like even using these broken ones that I picked up and mix them with the ones that I bought. So you have all different shapes, all different sizes, different colors. Not only do you want to glue the shell onto the wood of the wreath, but you want to add a little bit of glue to the shells that you previously glued. That will make it a lot stronger, a lot more stable. This is like creating your own puzzle and kind of like a mosaic as well. It's a very relaxing process, as long as you're careful with your hot glue gun, because to get burnt with a hot glue gun is not relaxing. So just be careful with that. I test them out before I place them permanently with the glue. So you want to try it out first. I'm determined to use this broken piece, and finally I fit it in this hole. So check that out, looks pretty good. Fitting in there nicely. The other broken part is in between the sticks of the wreath, and then I did add a little glue to that other shell, and now we'll glue another one right on top of that. I love the pink color in that shell, so I really did want to put it on my wreath. And now you can't even tell that it's broken. Always pull off the strings of the glue once they dry. These little pieces, I'm not sure what they are exactly, but I found them in a moss bag. Had a couple different kinds of moss in there, but I love how it looks kind of beachy. It looks like dried up coral, but it's very soft to touch. And when you're gluing things that are soft like this, you can always use a stick, a craft stick, this is a real stick, to shove it down deeper. That way you're not burning yourself. So when your wreath is hanging, you'd be able to see this inside circle, but just on the bottom. You could put it everywhere, but as you build with shells, you'll find that your wreath is getting heavier and heavier, and that might limit where you can hang it. So I'm just going to place my shells on the inside bottom part. That way we can cover up some of these wires and some of the glue. So I couldn't find a ribbon that I thought was beachy enough. So I'm just going to use these leftover pieces. They're almost a straw-like texture from the bag of shells that I got. So now I'm recycling this too. And I am going to add a little piece of driftwood. That's why I left this section that did not have shells on it. You could put a large bow here, whatever you like. That's your preference. Just using what I have on hand. I'm kind of figuring out how I want the driftwood to be. And then we will glue and tack that in place. In lieu of a bow, I decided to put wire through a couple more shells, and that's what I'll hang. Here's my finished wreath up on my door, and you can see that these are movable, and I think it's really pretty.